Welcome to Speak Up and Stay Alive RadiOh with author, speaker, and your host, Pat Rouleau. Finally, someone willing and able to blow the top off hidden healthcare and hospital dangers. She's provocative, upbeat, balanced, fearless, fresh. Pat has over 20 years of experience as a professional public speaker and knows how to approach this important subject with enough humor and wit to keep you informed, entertained, and empowered. Each week you will say, "Oh," as Pat explores and exposes little-known hospital hazards, delves into the deep waters of dangerous healthcare practices, picks the brains of her good-looking and influential guests to help keep you and your family safe in today's fragmented healthcare system. The program is not intended to replace medical advice from a licensed professional, but rather to encourage you to become a well-informed participant in your health and well-being. And now, your host, Pat Rouleau.
Hello, I'm Pat Rouleau, and I will be your hostess, your one-stop patient safety radio hostess, where I will spend the next hour serving you a generous helping of everything you need to know to help you and your loved ones stay safe during any doctor or hospital visit. And as a good hostess, I'm going to offer you lots of food for thought. So sit back, relax in a comfy seat, and let me share my life-saving tidbits and morsels with you. And to get started, it's time for the healthcare hazard of the week. Mr. Sandman, counting sheep, and Feng Shui. Have you heard of Feng Shui? No, it's not a sushi restaurant, but rather its approach to life that believes that your surroundings affect not just your level of material comfort, but also your physical and mental health, your relationships, and your worldly success. Feng Shui examines how the placement of things and objects within your home, for example, affect the energy flow in your living environment, and how these objects interact with and influence your personal energy flow, as well as health. Personally, this makes sense to me. Think of clutter. If your living space is jammed with stuff, is messy and dirty, that dysfunction translates to your personal life. Did you ever notice how good you feel once you clean out your refrigerator or tidy up your desk? I think it's true. What's going on around you reflects who and what you are and what you can and should be. So that's a tiny glimpse into Feng Shui. Last week, we talked about electromagnetic frequencies and dirty electricity, and I shared ways to remove some of the culprits in your home or office, specifically with your computers. And I promised that this week I would take this into the bedroom. And don't get any wild ideas, I'm strictly talking sleep here. But before we do that, let's understand that electromagnetic fields interfere with the body's ability to produce the hormone called melatonin, which is vitally important for a good night's sleep. When we sleep in an environment loaded with digital technology, our bodies are subjected to the subliminal stress caused by electropollution. It's invisible, but remember, whenever there is electricity, a magnetic field is produced, and that is why we link those two words together, electromagnetic. Anytime electrical current flows through something, like a wire, for example, it creates an electromagnetic field called EMF. And just like electronic equipment, our electric bodies have an electromagnetic field surrounding them. We conduct electricity in radio frequencies, which is why getting close or touching that old-timey TV rabbit ears antenna would help get a better picture. This is also why sticking a fork in an outlet will shock the heck out of you. So now that we have the mini science lesson out of the way, let me ask you this question. Do any of you have a difficult time getting to sleep? Do you find it hard to stay asleep? Do you wake up feeling groggy, foggy, and unrested? Do you and Mr. Sandman have a nightly contest? I think we've all experienced that to some degree. Lack of good quality sleep can link to other health problems that eventually may lead you to the doctor's office or hospital. And we know those are two places we'd like to avoid if possible. Also, viruses, bacteria, and fungus thrive in high EMF fields. Another reason to feng shui your living space. Your bedroom is where you should be spending at least 8 hours sleeping, refreshing, and rejuvenating. If you're tossing and turning and counting thousands of sheep, chances are you're being kept awake by the unnatural, man-made voltage in your body caused by electrical fields coming from the wiring in your walls, the extension cords of power strips under your bed, or the cords from your bedside lamps, clocks, and other appliances. Since your body restores itself at night, that's also when your body produces 80 to 90% of melatonin, that hormone we talked about, which it cannot do if you're unable to sleep. I mentioned clutter before, not just clothes and papers and other stash, but especially all things electronic. Your bedroom should be as technology-free as possible. This includes TVs, radios, clock radios, alarm clocks, cordless phones, mobile and smartphones, heating pads, electric blankets, wireless baby monitors. So follow me, if you will, into my bedroom, and let me tell you what I've done to Feng Shui this important room to ensure that Mr. Sandman shows up to give me a safe and good night's rest. The first thing I considered was the electric radio alarm clock, just inches away from my head. Sleeping with this electromagnetic field affects your body's own electromagnetic field and can lead to sleep disturbances, irregular heartbeats, accelerated aging, insomnia, hypertension, nightmares, and anxiety. Life is stressful enough. Who needs their electric alarm clock giving them more stress? According to the ancient art of Feng Shui, the worst thing a person can do for their health is sleep in an EMF field. That's why clearing the bedroom of all EMFs is Feng Shui's #1 rule. And for some reason, people think that a battery-operated alarm clock doesn't emit EMFs. Apparently, that's not true. If you don't want an alarm clock emitting electricity, then the only option is to use a wind-up. Not very practical. But since I work from home and don't have to be anywhere at an exact time, I simply remove the clock completely. I no longer check the clock in the middle of the night, and I just get up when I feel like it. And amazingly, I still get up every morning at just about the same time. Actually, being clock-free is quite exhilarating. Or if you cannot do that, at least move the alarm clock to the other side of the room, at least 6 feet away from your head. Oh, and here's an obvious one. Do not sleep with your cell phone. Not in your bed and not in your room. Charge your cell phone at the opposite end of the house during the day. Then at night, unplug the charger and turn your phone off. There's no need to check email or Facebook in the middle of the night. Get it out of your bedroom. Now, I did not do this because my wall sockets tested fairly clean, but if you live in an older wired home, you might want to move your bed away from the wall because that is where the electrical wiring of your house lives. And make sure that the head of your bed doesn't share a wall with a power outlet or a refrigerator or a computer in the room behind you. Next, I checked my lighting situation. I have a friend with several meters that detects EMFs and dirty electricity. I mentioned him last week. He came to my home and checked the levels. My lamps tested fairly okay, unless we were right next to them. Then they were off the charts. Most standard lamps give off a high electrical field regardless of how many light bulbs are used or their wattage. So position the lamps as far away from your head as you can when you're sleeping. I decided to unplug the lamps in my bedroom unless or until I need them. Or if you need a light to get in bed and can reach, unplug it from the wall once in bed. And speaking of light bulbs, here's something I did not know. We've been pushed by advertising to buy the new corkscrew-looking light bulbs. They're called CFL, compact fluorescent lights. They're based on the fact that they're more energy efficient. Here's the scoop on those. They come with many health hazards: mercury, UV radiation, RF fields, and dirty electricity. In fact, they're referred to as intermediate frequency by the World Health Organization, and these middling fields are biologically active. A New York Times story shared quality control problems with the bulbs, possibly caused by the rush to bring them to market, cheap parts, and poor installation instructions. In fact, if you break one, you can have a hazmat crisis because the mercury in one bulb is enough to contaminate the entire room. So what's the solution? Avoid and replace these bulbs with the old-timey incandescent bulbs until the newer LED mercury and RF-free bulbs are available. I was as guilty as everyone else, shepherded by advertisements, and bought a bunch of the newer bulbs. This past week, I removed them and replaced them with the old and safer incandescent ones. And if you use electric blankets, think of this. Their electric field penetrates 6 to 7 inches into the body. Here's a safer scenario. Use it to warm up your bed before you get in. Then turn it off and unplug it. Remember, like all appliances, it still generates a field when it's plugged in. And be sure to unplug your wireless computer router at night. I did this. Actually, I permanently unplugged it and connected my router to my computer directly via Ethernet cables. Wi-Fi can penetrate the entire house, so unplug, especially at night. And of course, remove the TV. Watch television somewhere else if you must watch prior to bedtime, but get it out of your bedroom. Actually, there is a possible relationship between insomnia and reading at night on backlit screens such as a computer or iPad and watching a bright screen TV in a dark room. There's growing concern that these glowing gadgets may actually fool our brains into thinking it's daytime. Exposure can disturb sleep patterns and exacerbate insomnia. So maybe read a book under some soft light prior to sleepy time rather than watch that violent and most likely stupid TV program prior to bedtime. So are you getting the picture? Unplug and remove all things electrical in your bedroom. Get them out of your sanctuary. Invest in some room darkening shades or drapes. No, they won't shield you from stray electric and magnetic radiation, but by keeping your room darker, longer, they can help your body produce more melatonin, the antioxidant hormone that is diminished by exposure to light and EMFs. So, back to the simple concept of Feng Shui and how to make your bedroom more inviting to Mr. Sandman. Sleep should not be one of life's struggles. Instead of reaching for drugs like Ambien and Lunesta that come with their own set of side effects and problems, consider what I am saying. Try it. Look around your bedroom. Clean out the physical clutter. Hang up unworn clothes. Remove outdated magazines and newspapers. Dust, vacuum, and unplug everything. Simply by becoming aware of the problem, you've taken the critical first step towards solving it. And here's my bedroom Feng Shui wish for you. May you never count sheep. May the Sandman be with you. And may you sleep peacefully through the night. But remember, if you have to get up to use the bathroom, your lamp is unplugged. And with that, let's hear some legal news you can use. Listen as I spend the next 2 minutes with Pat Schraff, an elder law attorney at Schraff & King, located on Somme Center Road in Willoughby Hills, Ohio. She always has the answers. Pat, what is a DNR?
DNR stands for Do Not Resuscitate, and it refers to an order issued by a doctor upon a request of a patient. And the request is not to have comfort care. I don't want to have CPR and be called back from a terminal illness when there is no hope. A patient with a DNR comfort care arrest order, in contrast to the comfort care only order, with this type of order, it means that a person will receive all types of care until they have cardiac arrest and will not recover. And at that point, CPR would not be used. The idea of a DNR should be discussed in detail with one's physician and one's family and should not be entered into lightly. A DNR order is a significant order and obviously impacts your life, so it should be very carefully considered. It can always be changed by the patient.
Seems like there's a lot to know about the Do Not Resuscitate order. Pat, how can our listeners find out more information about you and if they want more information about DNRs?
They can contact us at 440-585-1600 or at our website, schraffking.com.
It is always a pleasure to be with you, Pat. Thank you for your information today.
Thank you.
Know you've been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin, and I know it's never gonna end.
Did you know that all home care is not the same? When it comes to aging in place, most seniors want to stay in their own home as long as possible, and in-home care can help them live safely and comfortably. But there are many types of home care providers that provide a variety of services. Before you select an individual or organization to provide care for a loved one, make sure you research providers and ask the right questions. So to help with that, listen as I introduce our newest weekly guest experts and my friends, Jack and Bonnie Warren from Comfort Keepers, serving Ashtabula, Lake, Geauga, Lyren, and Medina counties. Jack, tell us, how is Comfort Keepers different than other home care services?
One of the things that we do is match up clients' needs with caregiver skill sets. And if a caregiver comes to us who has raised a family, knows how to make a bed, knows how to cook, knows how to clean, and those fit right into the niche of what you need in your home, what a great fit. If your needs are more along the personal care lines, we need help with toileting, bathing, incontinence care, then I have a different skill set from the caregiver, and I make a different assignment in that direction. So it's important for us to determine what the client's needs are and then determine which caregivers are well suited for those needs.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Jack. We look forward to your weekly advice.
Thanks, Pat.
I encourage you to call my friends right here in the Cleveland area, Jack and Bonnie Warren. For more information or to schedule a free in-home consultation, call them toll-free, 866-942-1960. That's 866-942-1960. Or you can visit them online at comfortkeepers.com. And be sure to let them know that I sent you. Comfort Keepers, keeping the comforts of home.
Cause you've been a good friend.
You are listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio. I am your hostess, Pat Rulo, and today I am happy to have a returning guest and a new guest. This program is all about learning how we can stay safe during any healthcare or hospital encounter. And as adults, we have the experience and knowledge to learn how to do that. But what about patient safety when it comes to children? Who looks out for them? The state of Ohio is the only place where a statewide network of children's hospitals has come together to focus on reducing and actually eliminating serious safety events when it comes to children, and they have created a statewide patient harm index for children. So with that, our returning guest is Dr. Ann Lyren. She is the co-leader of the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety National Children's Network. She is a pediatrician at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, where she also serves as strategic advisor of the Quality and Safety Program. She has led the successful Pediatric Surgical Site Infection Improvement Collaborative of the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety and has co-led the Ohio hospitals in their efforts to eliminate serious harm. So welcome back to the show, Ann.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And it's good to have you back as well. And I'm happy to have our second guest today. She is Carol Kemper. As a nurse, she is a member of the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety Steering Committee and a member of their Family Engagement Committee. Carol has also held clinical and leadership positions across 4 freestanding pediatric hospitals and currently holds the role of Vice President for Quality and Safety at the Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. In this capacity, Carol has had the opportunity to partner with family and patient-centered care leaders to further the family engagement agenda within Children's Mercy and the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Network. And a big welcome to you, Carol.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, we are so happy to have both of you here. Thank you. Well, some of our listeners listen every single week and will be familiar with the fact that, Ann, you've been on the show before. But to our listeners that are new to the show, can you give a brief overview of the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Pat. The Solutions for Patient Safety is kind of a mouthful, isn't it?
It is.
Actually sprung from the Ohio Children's Hospital Association, which was organized in the 1980s to advocate for legislative and regulatory issues that affected children's health. And then over the last decade, actually, the organization became increasingly interested in issues related to quality and patient safety. And so kind of in the mid-2000s, around 2005, 2006, as you suggested a little bit earlier, they began working together on preventing specific types of hospital-acquired conditions. One was surgical site infections, which as a group they were able to reduce by 60%. The other was preventable cardiac arrests, which they reduced by 46%, and adverse drug events, which they were able to reduce by 50%. So some of the success in working together gave them the trust in one another and the courage to take on really more audacious goal of eliminating all harm that occurs to hospitalized children. So beginning in about 2010, under the name Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety, the 8 Ohio Children's Hospitals have worked together to address 10 of the most common types of serious harm that affect hospitalized children by focusing on process improvement and cultural barriers. And so since the last time I talked to you, we have actually, as part of a federal contract, welcomed to our network first an additional 25 children's hospitals from around the country, and then in a second phase, another 46. So we now have 79 children's hospitals from across the country who are all working together to eliminate harm that comes to children who are hospitalized.
Boy, and that happened rather quickly.
It did. It felt like that to us, too.
Wow, I know. I said I have to have you back on the show because I'm sure progress was made, but I didn't know we were going that fast. But that's a good thing. And I noticed on your website it says it's not a pilot or a promise, it's a proven track record. And that's beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, how are you and Carol working together on this project? Carol's in Kansas City, so Carol's one of the hospitals out of state.
That's right. So one of the wonderful things about networks like ours is as we broadened our network, we actually brought in some really brilliant minds and people who have been doing fantastic work across the country that could bring to bear on this issue, which we all share. And as you mentioned in Carol's bio, she has a tremendous amount of expertise in actually many areas, one of which is her passion around family engagement.
Let's get to you, Carol. Talk about how you are engaging patients and families in your work.
Yes. So some of the things that we're doing, certainly within our hospital, but really across the network, is engaging families in a number of different areas within the organization. So some of that is related to hospital committees. So we have family advisory councils, or we have a teen advisory board, as well as groups of patients. And that gives us an opportunity to really learn from them about how well we're doing with engaging families in care, and for them to help us as we're designing new systems. We also have family members involved in all of our hospital-acquired condition teams, and that's the kind of common issues that Anne spoke of. We have teams that are working on reducing those safety events. And on each one of those teams, we have a family representative. And so they're bringing that perspective to the work that's being done. And then the other way is really right at the bedside, engaging families in what we're doing day to day through our rounds, having them be involved in the care rounds and decisions that are being made right at the bedside.
Now, from the family side, obviously, I'm sure they embrace this type of conversation and to be included. How is that working for the family member?
When we first started saying, we don't know exactly how to go about this, but we know that your perspective is important and that we are not going to develop as good a system if you're not working with us on this. We've tried to provide some guidance to healthcare providers that are part of, acting as like a team leader for some of these projects, as well as for the family members to help prepare them. And some of the things that we've helped healthcare providers think about is not using medical jargon and making sure to invite the family member to share their perspective. Sometimes family members are a little hesitant when they're in a room full of healthcare providers. They may feel a little hesitant to speak up and tell about their experience. And so we've tried to sensitize healthcare providers to do that, and it's been very successful.
Sure, the patient perspective, the family perspective is very important. And just on simple things like asking a healthcare provider to wash their hands, I know so many folks that listen to the show, that's one of the things they say. I realize that that's an issue and I feel afraid to ask. How do you help the family member feel comfortable doing that?
We have those discussions, particularly in some of the work that we're doing at the bedside. And some of the things that we'll try to do is even provide some tools to the family member to help them feel a little bit more comfortable. So some of it might just be putting signs up saying, or having a nurse or a physician wear a button that says, ask me if I've washed my hands. So some of those kinds of things. Right. We've developed some tools to even help families with medications. We have something that we've developed that we call a family-friendly medication administration record that a family member gets at the beginning of the shift. And so then they can be watching and tracking what medications their child is receiving right along with the care provider. And so if something doesn't seem right, it's just a little easier to maybe ask that question or bring it up because they also are tracking it and have a tool that helps them with that.
Oh, if you were here, I'd hug you. I love that. I always tell folks to ask for the medication, the MARS, the medication administration
that's
record
exactly
sheet.
Right.
Oh, and what did you call it? What'd you call it?
We call it a family-friendly MAR.
Yeah.
And, of course, some of the things that we use, some of the lingo that we use in healthcare sometimes are a little hard to interpret. So in the family-friendly MAR, it doesn't use abbreviations or those kinds of things that might be hard to interpret. Mm-hmm. So it's in that family-friendly language, and again, just really helps them to partner with us on that medication administration.
If I could just use that last example as a perfect one to illustrate the point of how much more quickly things are changing for the better inside children's hospitals. There are some with respect to engaging patients and families who are really on the cutting edge, and then there's some who are still rooted in those old myths, like, I'm not sure the patients want to hear this, I don't know if they want all this information, it's overwhelming to them, etc. But what happens inside of a network is that if you have a hospital like Carroll's that is demonstrating that not only do they do it, but it works well for them. It's well received. They have improved outcomes. They cause less harm to children. Other hospitals who maybe it might have taken them 10 years to come around to that are saying, hey, wait a second, this is all right. Let's give this a try. How did you do it? We sort of joked about how fast things are moving, but you know what? In many ways, it just can't be fast enough for this kind of thing because we know that there's still harm that's happening inside the hospitals, and that in this example is a perfect one for how patients and their families can help us with that.
Absolutely. That's the whole point of what we do here is that patients should be a partner and they should be allowed to be a partner. And therefore, the culture within the hospital needs to somewhat change so that patients feel that they have the ability to have a voice.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you think that hospitals can be doing, should be doing to better engage families at the local level?
To have families involved, but to be involved on almost every level of the organization, starting with the executive board. And again, there are flags that people raise on why this can't happen. Oh, this would scare people. This is too much information. They won't understand it, all those kinds of things. That's phooey. This is all possible. And in fact, it will really promote safety in your organization.
Right. I agree.
And I would agree with everything that Ann said. The other thing is, I think sometimes just asking families about how we're doing with a particular process. Another thing that we do is we have staff go out and talk to a family member just right now. They're here, their child is being cared for, and get some feedback about what's working well and what's not. And it doesn't cost anything to do that, and it's just invaluable information.
Excellent. So for both of you, what's next? Where are we going?
We're considering taking on new types of harm. Right now, we focus on 10 types of harm that occur to hospitalized children, which we think are the most prevalent and the most serious. But we know that there are other types of harm that happen that we're interested in considering kind of incorporating in our work as well. But, we just can't rest until we reach zero. And, I think we're making good progress, but we still have a ways to go, Pat.
I would agree. We definitely have that all teach, all learn. So across the entire network, we're always trying to improve and learn from each other. And so we'll continue that effort and learning new ways to engage families and to really support families when they have a child that's hospitalized.
Wow. I think you're doing great work. As we wrap up, how can our listeners learn more about you and what you do?
I'm not all that interesting, but I would love it if they would go to our website, solutionsforpatientsafety.org.
I would agree. That is the best way to, I think, learn more about the work that's happening with the Ohio Children's Hospital Solutions for Patient Safety. And yeah, I'm not that interesting either. I think I've tweeted maybe 5 times.
You're funny. I don't think that you're not interesting. You're just very busy doing very interesting things. You don't have time to be tweeting. Oh my gosh. Are we missing anything? Is there anything more that we should be touching upon?
No, I think this is really great, Pat. We really need the input from everyone. So I hope that your listeners will appreciate the fact that we need their partnership in this work, both, when they're actually in the hospital and their family members are in the hospital, but at any time we welcome their suggestions.
I appreciate that. Well, I thank you both for the work you do on behalf of children everywhere. It's been a pleasure to have you both. Thank you so much, Anne.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
With all of the changes being made within the healthcare world today, not only is it confusing, but it is increasingly more expensive, and doctors and their practices may not be able to see all of the newly insured patients. That's why I always encourage our listeners to take care of themselves now in order to avoid a potential hospital stay. Listen as I spend the next 2 minutes with my friend, Dr. Tad Roediger of Roediger Chiropractic. He's got ways to keep us well. Well, Dr. Roediger, tell us, how can your chiropractic services help keep us well, safe, and out of the hospital?
That's a great question. I'd rather see somebody once a month, making sure that their body, their joints, and then most importantly, their nervous system works as close to 100% as possible. And so checking somebody once every 3 or 4 weeks to make sure that they stay healthy, that they stay good. I had back surgery in 1986. Of all the things I wish I could undo in my life, I wish I could not have the back surgery and tried chiropractic first. But my wellness check for me is once a week. And that's so I can get on the floor and play with my 5-year-olds, so I can run half marathons, and so I can play golf. More importantly, work with my patients. Okay, and still be active. But I would love to have people come in first. We do have some patients that have been to other chiropractors before, and they've moved around, and they end up here in Chardon, and they say, I just need my once a month or once every 3 week care, and we do that for them. It's so great to see somebody come in and say, oh, Pat, how do you feel today? I feel fantastic. Great, let me check you out. And usually we'll end up adjusting a handful of spots, because using the activator method doesn't have to hurt. Vertebrae can get out of alignment and don't have to pinch nerves. It can feel good, but you can still be out of alignment. And that's where I really think that the regular checkups once a month or so helps keep people really functioning at their best.
I encourage you to visit Dr. Roediger for a consultation. Call him for an appointment at 440-285-0756. Dr. Roediger is located in Chardon, Ohio at the Village Station, 401 South Street, just 1/2 mile south of downtown Chardon off of Route 44. Or you can always call him at 440-285-0576. You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio. Now you can join us every Saturday morning in Cleveland, Ohio, and in Phoenix, Arizona. Or you can always listen live online from anywhere in the world at the station's websites. I am your hostess, Pat Rulo. I'm always so happy to spend this hour with you to help you survive any healthcare or hospital encounter. And now it's the favorite portion of the whole hour. The boys race to the game chamber to decide which game to play, and it looks like they both grabbed the same favorite. Shocking news from around the world. You remember, here's how it goes. I will read some shocking medical-related news, and you, our super informed contestants, will have to decide if it is true, or as we call it, a shock, or is it false? We call it a crock. Who do we have with us again today?
I'm Eric, and I'm a regionally famous radio producer from Northeast Ohio.
Yay, Eric.
And I'm Bob from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I'm a former financial planner.
Good to have you here, Bob. Thank you, guys. Are you both ready to play shocking news from around the world?
Let's go.
Put it on, girl.
Do it. All right. Here's the Speak Up and Stay Alive shocking news number 1. A 2011 study found that dentists could identify people with diabetes 73% of the time based on only a count of their missing teeth. Is that a shock or is it a crock?
I'm going to say it's a shock because I'd say that's probably true.
I'd also say that's a shock. It's plausible that whatever you eat has an effect on your teeth.
You guys are good. You're right. It is a shock. It's true. One complication of diabetes is gum disease. Diabetes can change in blood vessels in ways that impair blood flow, which in turn weakens the gums and makes them more vulnerable to infection, according to Ohio State University Medical Center. More than 7 million people with diabetes don't know that they have it, and dentists could play a role in identifying those with the disease. Actually, I think I saw this at my dentist once. There was a sign that said that they link periodontal disease, the gum disease, with chronic bacterial infection of the gums, which gives you an increased risk of heart attack and stroke.
I can believe that. I can definitely believe that.
Yep. So our dentist could be a valuable ally to tell us what might be wrong by looking in our mouth. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. Here's the Speak Up and Stay Alive shocking news number 2. Eating turkey makes you drowsy. Is that a shock or is it a crock?
I believe it's a crock.
I'm saying it's a shock because I'd say it's true because of there's a certain chemical inside the turkey that causes you to be sleepy.
Well, see, I always thought that because that's what they always told you. But Eric, you're right. It is a crock. It's not true. The thing is, and what you were thinking about, Bob, the chemical in turkey is called tryptophan.
Right.
Yeah. It's known to cause drowsiness, but apparently turkey doesn't contain any more of it than does chicken or beef.
Maybe that's the reason I sleep all the time when I eat chicken.
You sleep all the time anyway, right?
You got it.
The myth is fueled by the fact that turkey is often eaten with a colossal holiday meal, often accompanied by alcohol, both things that will make you sleepy.
Oh, I can understand that.
That's why I said it's a crock. I did believe that before, but read somewhere that, yeah, it's a myth.
There you go. It is a myth. All right, you got it. Good. All right, guys, here's the Speak Up and Stay Alive shocking news number 3. Scientists at National Taiwan University developed a Wi-Fi, wireless-enabled tooth sensor that tracks how much people eat, smoke, cough, chew, and more. Is that a shock or is it a crock?
I'm going to say it's a shock. I heard about that, and I think it's another way that the government or somebody can follow you around with a smart tooth, you might say.
Yes, I'm going to also say it's a shock. I'm thinking it's reminding me of the NSA stories we heard about earlier this year.
Thank you. Sadly, that is a shock. And Bob, you're right. They call it a smart tooth. Wi-Fi enabled teeth. I mean, really? Future prototypes will include small Bluetooth radios capable of wirelessly transmitting sensor data to nearby mobile devices such as smartphones for analysis. Now, your future dentist can offer you 2 options for artificial teeth. The first one is a traditional artificial tooth, and the second one is a smart tooth that you can use to record your activity. Like, does anyone in the world find this to be absolutely sci-fi horrific?
It's just another way of giving up your rights.
Yeah, it sounds very dystopian. I think I'm just going to go without any teeth now, just in case.
Probably a good idea, Eric.
That's like privacy invasion through your teeth. Remember this, if you take nothing else away, just because they call it smart doesn't mean that it is.
That's right.
All right. Very odd. All right, you guys, here's the Speak Up and Stay Alive shocking news number 4. I don't know. This is weird. Woodchucks don't upchuck. Is that a shock or is it a crock?
I don't know where that question came from. I'm going to say it's a crock.
I don't know what to say. I'm not a zoologist.
That's a trick question, Eric.
You think so?
I don't know.
All right.
How much wood could a woodchuck upchuck?
That's good.
Would that still be a tongue twister? How much wood would a woodchuck upchuck if a woodchuck could upchuck?
You got it.
All right.
Still is.
It still is, yeah. Weirdly enough, that is a shock, you guys. It's true. Listen, rodents don't throw up. And now researchers understand why. They apparently lack both the brains and bodies for vomiting. Curiously, lab rats and mice appear to have one-way digestive systems. And why does this have anything to do with medical and health? Well, this can make it difficult to see when they get sick from something they've eaten or medicine they have taken. According to a researcher, Charles Horn, a neuroscientist at the University of Pittsburgh Cancer Institute, rodents do not serve as good animal models for studies that help alleviate nausea and vomiting after chemotherapy for cancer or after surgical operations. Wow. Would you have ever thought of that?
I wouldn't have thought of that.
For some reason, I since you just mentioned cancer, I'm being reminded of the naked mole rat, which is famous for not getting cancer.
Oh. Naked mole rat? Is that what you said?
Yeah, naked mole rat. I guess the naked is from it not having fur and... Yeah, it's
okay. Naked mole rat.
I don't know if you want to look at pictures.
I'm going to look that up. Maybe that'd be a game question next week. Naked mole rat doesn't get cancer. Actually, Here's another thing I didn't know. Rodents make up about 40% of all mammal species.
Oh, wow.
I would not have known that. Did you know that, Eric?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, there you have it. All right, the Speak Up and Stay Alive. Shocking news number 5. Reduced fat peanut butter is better for you than regular peanut butter. Is that a shock or is it a crock?
I'm going to say that's a shock. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking it is a shock.
I'm going to say the opposite. It's a crock that, I don't know, just the amount of fat in food doesn't make that much of a difference.
You are a doctor, aren't you?
Is that Dr. Eric?
That's Dr. Eric. He came back. He showed up again.
I only have a master's.
In what?
Communication.
Well, I think you must have been spying on some medical classes because you're right. That is a crock. It's not true. The oil is the healthiest part of a peanut or a tree nut, containing most of the nutrients, so there's no advantage to taking it out. In fact, removing the oil makes things worse because it robs the peanut butter of its health benefits. Reduced fat peanut butter has as many calories and more sugar than the regular variety, Bob.
Then I'll buy the regular from now on.
Instead, buy regular peanut butter, Bob, and eat real nuts. Eating 1 or 2 ounces of nuts daily is associated with reduction in heart disease and lower cancer risk.
Sounds good to me.
A recent Harvard study showed that eating nuts is associated with lower body weight, too. What about spending time with nuts?
I do that.
No, I do that.
Thank you.
Any comment on the nut situation, Eric?
Well, I think today what I've learned from this whole thing is that I'm going to get the regular peanut butter and I am going to work very hard to brush my teeth because I do not want the spy teeth installed on me.
I like that. Spy tooth.
Spy tooth.
Spy tooth.
That sounds like a mafia nickname. We've got an old Guido Spy Tooth here.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that was fun. We learned about missing teeth and diabetes, turkey and sleepiness, smart teeth, vomiting rodents, and nut butters. So I ask you both, on what other patient safety radio show will you find this kind of life-saving, changing information? Anywhere?
No place.
What other patient safety radio show is there?
There's none.
Good question. We are unique in so many ways. Thank you, Bob, for being here.
You're quite welcome.
And Eric, always a pleasure to have a regionally famous radio producer on our side.
You're welcome.
All right. Listeners, don't go anywhere. There's so much more you can learn about healthcare and hospital safety on America's favorite and what we have just figured out. Only patient safety radio show. Speak Up and Stay Alive. Radio.
It just keeps getting weirder and weirder.
Listen while I spend the next 2 minutes with Chris Alberta, the Medicare supplement partner with Generation America. Chris, today, let's talk about something for free. Everyone loves something free. You offer a free Part D analysis when it comes to the Medicare supplement plans, which is prescription drugs. Can you explain that to us?
We have talked to so many Generation America members who have Part D plans that they've purchased in addition to their supplement, which covers no prescription. And what we find over and over again is that somebody is on a plan that really has not been customized to the drugs they're taking. Maybe they bought it because they saw it advertised heavily on television, but in many cases, they're buying it because it's got a cheap premium. Anybody, whether or not they have a supplement or Advantage program through us, can submit their drugs online. We have a beautiful RX portal set up. And they'll get back, typically within about 48 hours, a recommendation for the Part D plan that will cost them the least for 2014. And overall, I see people save $1,500 to $2,000 by being on the right Part D plan.
Oh, that's crazy. So no matter whether our listeners have their supplement with you or with someone else, they can contact you. How can our listeners do this? Where should they go?
Well, they can log on to generationamerica.org. We can be found under the Insurance tab, Senior Health Direct.
Excellent. Do they need to be a member of Generation America to take advantage of this?
They don't, but I'll tell you what, I mean, anybody who goes through this process, Pat, and can kind of see the value, I mean, Generation America has gone so far above and beyond what we normally see from advocacy associations, that if they go through this process and save all that money and don't think, man, this is an organization I want in my corner, I'd be shocked.
So, folks, visit the Generation America website. It's generationamerica.org, or you can reach them by phone, 877-687-4362. Thank you for sharing that with us today, Chris.
Hey, no problem, Pat. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
We were surprised when Dad brought up hospice care. I thought you called when you were all out of options, but Hospice of the Western Reserve has been helping care for Dad for some time now. I'm so glad we called when we did. Their support has given us quality time I'll remember forever.
With Hospice of the Western Reserve, you can choose when, where, and how you receive care. Discover why the hospice of choice is Hospice of the Western Reserve at hospiceofchoice.org.
You're listening to Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio. Every Saturday morning in Cleveland, Ohio, and in Phoenix, Arizona, I am Pat Rulo, your hostess and author of the book, Speak Up and Stay Alive, the Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide, available at all of our live speaking events or at our beautiful website, speakupandstayalive.com. That's where you can also locate radio show times, dates, and station information. That is speakupandstayalive.com. And for those of you that want to purchase the book but do not have internet access, it's okay to call me. Lots of folks order the book by phone, so give me a call. Just not on your cell phone for too long. 440-725-5462. Well, today, we talked about how to Feng Shui your bedroom to get rid of dangerous electromagnetic fields. I really do hope you take this seriously. I am not a nut or a kook looking for a cause. I think it's important to question and learn about any and all potential health hazards. Our healthcare system is fragmented and becoming more so as all of the new healthcare rules come into play. So the goal is to stay out of the hospital, out of the doctor's offices. So where to start? Look at yourself, your lifestyle, your home environment. We tend to buy into what industry advertises, what others have, what sounds cool. As I used to tell my girls when they were young and wanted to get tattoos and piercings, do you want to be different? How about being smart? How about thinking for yourself? How about making decisions that make sense for you? Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's safe or the right thing to do. So unplug your bedroom, folks, and get a good night's sleep. And our guests, Dr. Ann Lyren and Carol Kemper, shared the good news about children's hospitals coming together to commit to eliminate serious safety events when it comes to children. This is the type of teamwork we need, and I applaud their work. Now, if for some bizarre reason you missed some of today's show, it's not too late to hear it all. You can go to the radio link at the speakupandstayalive.com website and click the link with today's date. That's where you can also purchase the book, Speak Up and Stay Alive, the Patient Advocate Hospital Survival Guide. And if you want extra special treatment during a hospital stay, you need to stand out, but in a good way. Take the book with you to the hospital or bring it as a gift to a friend in the hospital. Lay it on the tray table, and just from the cover alone, I guarantee it will generate positive conversations with your doctors and nurses. Find out what you need to know and feel safe speaking up. Armed with the information in the book, you will at least have a roadmap to a safe hospital journey. So, if you do not have a copy, I really do encourage you to have one. You can go to the speakupandstayalive.com website or call me directly, 440-725-5462. Well, let me take a moment to thank all of our radio sponsors and weekly guest experts, because thanks to them, we are here, and that helps keep you safe. And you can find their information at the speakupandstayalive.com website. Well, by now you know that when it comes to learning about patient safety, this radio program pulls out the stops to share only the best and the brightest minds with you, our very important listeners. So if you have a topic of concern or interest, and you would like to perhaps have me address that within the show, I would welcome your thoughts. Email me at speakupandstayalive.com or call me at 440-725-5462. Oh, and next week, our guest will be a singing patient. That's all I'm going to say about that. You'll just have to tune in to hear this one. I've said this before, but you will not find these kinds of guests on any old radio program. We attract only the best, just for you. So share this with your friends, your families, hand out posters and flyers, and tell everyone to mark their calendars for when? When, Bob?
Next week.
You got it. Next Saturday morning, where you can find us in Cleveland, Ohio, from 7 to 8 Eastern on AM 1420 WHK, and from 9 to 10 Eastern on AM 1220 WHKW, as well as from 9 to 10 on AM 1440 WHKZ. On Saturday mornings in Phoenix, Arizona, from 6 to 7 Mountain Time on AM 1360 KPXQ. Or you can always listen live via the internet Check the speakupandstayalive.com website to find out how. Start your week with an O. Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio. Well, until next Saturday morning, I hope you have a healthy and a happy week. I am Pat Rouleau, and I am your guide to safe and successful healthcare and hospital encounters.
The information provided in today's broadcast is for informational purposes only and was not intended for use as diagnosis or treatment of a health problem and should not be considered as medical advice. If you've missed part of today's show or just want to share the information with friends, you can listen to all of Pat's previous shows at speakupandstayalive.com. Want even more information? Purchase a copy of Pat's book at speakupandstayalive.com. Once again, it's speakupandstayalive.com. Or you can call Pat at 440-725-5462. Until next week, remember, it's okay to ask others to wash their hands. You have to speak up and stay alive.
Hey guys, someone just called the studio and left a phone number but no name. Will you call the number back and see what they wanted? Thanks. Hello, who is this?
I'm Jerry the Germ.
Oh, hi Jerry. Do you know who this is?
Pat Rouleau.
That's right, from Speak Up and Stay Alive, Patient Safety Radio. How often do you listen to the show, Jerry?
Every Saturday morning.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're a loyal listener, but you sound a bit stuffy. How are you feeling? Oh my, you must have caught a germ from one of your germ friends. Are you taking any medications? And if so, how many per day?
From 9 to 10.
Oh my, that's a lot. How many different pharmacies are you using?
From 7 to 8.
Wow. So you called earlier. What did you want?
The Speak Up and Stay Alive Healthcare and Hospital Safety Snippet.
Okay. Here's one just for you since you are taking so many medications. To avoid dangerous drug interactions, get all of your prescriptions filled at one pharmacy or at the same pharmacy chain. That way, the pharmacist or their computer system can flag any dangerous combinations. When you use multiple pharmacies like you're doing, no one knows what you're taking, and the chances of mixing inappropriate drugs with one another increases. Come on, Jerry. You're a big promoter of the show. What is it that you always say?
Stay safe. Listen to Speak Up and Stay Alive RadiOh. Tune in every Saturday morning. For more information, go to speakupandstayalive.com.